What's happening, guys? Scott from Hornet's Nest. Welcome back to episode 31 of Tutorial Tuesday. So good to see you. Yeah, welcome to 2026. Here we are, first episode. A little bit late. I've been sick for 4 weeks, so I haven't been able to record or upload, but here we are, ready to kick off the year strong, and I'm going to show you some really cool things. The first two panels I want to show you are these. You got the spin recovery panel, and you got the master arm, and they sit on the sides of the upper instrument panel. Now, you probably don't use this panel as much. You might use it for the HMD brightness knob, which turns your hammocks on, but very rarely are you doing spin control. Now, this one you're using all the time. You're using it to employ weapons and put the master arm to arm or safe. Doubt you're using this one very much. Very rare are we having fires in the F-18 that aren't caused by a SAM hitting us or a missile. So very rare that you're putting out fires, but if you are, that's the button you're using. But overall, it's a really cool build, and I bet you are using this one a lot. You're going to be pushing those stores off when you get into that unexpected encounter. So I'm going to show you how to build these two panels, and then we're going to jump into Fusion, and I'm going to show you this UIP here, and I'm going to show you some modifications that I've made, because I want to incorporate the Windwing UFC, not build the Open Hornet one. Now we can discuss why a little bit later on, but that's what we're doing. So pretty cool episode up ahead. And I'm going to tell you what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, and maybe some changes if we come across those. So let's get into Fusion. The UIP here is the full assembly. It's the big dog file. It's going to have everything you need to make it, and there is a video and a link below of where to find all those files. Now, we want to incorporate Windwing. I love the Windwing. It's a cool system. Now, I like the feel of it. It's robust. The screens are great. It's reliable. Open Hornet hasn't finished building theirs. I'm not saying theirs is going to be bad. I'm just going to say it's not done. And I don't know when it's going to be done. It's been a work in progress as long as I've been part of the Open Hornet group. And I want to use the UFC. I want to get this pit done for you guys. We've got 6 episodes to go, right? So before we do that, let me tell you that there are 3 main modders, or people that create mods. Disclaimer, they're not the only people creating mods within the Open Hornet community, but they're your main team. You've got Ben from Oz Hornet, you've got Nick Z, who created that incredible canopy bow that you see people using, and you've got Yulikai. Ben is kind of creating his own ecosystem. He is running Oz Hornet PCBs, he's redesigning stuff, his Corey switches look great, he's running slimline DDIs. They really do look awesome. Now, if you want to go down that route, you're going to be pretty much deviating from Open Hornet. If you went with Nick Z's route, you are going to be incorporating Windwing, but you're also incorporating new PCBs. So you're deviating again from Open Hornet. The truest form to Open Hornet that I've seen is Yulikai's. It's incorporating DDIs and Windwing and the AMP-CD and all that, but then the eyebrows and all that and the other panels are Open Hornet based. So you've got your 3 main modders, pick your journey. I'm kind of creating a 4th journey here, which is pure Open Hornet minus this here, the UFC. Now, if you don't know what the UFC is, it is the upfront controller. If you're more used to civilian terms, in an Airbus it would be called the MCDU, and in your Boeings and your Bombardiers, it's going to be called your FMS FMC. So it pretty much is just the computer of the jet. It's where you're going to be putting your coordinates for targets or waypoints, selecting bomb arming modes, quantities, and all that. That's what the UFC does if you've never flown a Hornet before. So why do we need to mod it for Windwing if you assume all of this stuff is replica? Well, if we go and just toggle on Nick's mod, and he's done an incredible job, you can see here the yellow is ever so slightly wider than what Open Hornet believes the UFC is, which is fine. I'm not having a go at Windwing for creating it wrong. It's wider. That's all it is. If you look at it face on, if we just click front up in the top right, you can see it encroaches ever so slightly on the eyebrows. Now that is why you've got Ben, Nick, and Yulikai all creating these mods to space that stuff out. I don't want to space it out because I want to keep it as simple for you if you want to do this. So if you've already gone to the stage that I am, you don't need to change anything. You don't need to recut anything. You just got to drill a couple more holes. So if we go do that, and let's go and hide some things here so you can see a bit better. We're going to click that, press V, press V, press V. Let's just get rid of some of this stuff. There, let's get rid of this guy. That's enough, just so you can kind of see what we're doing. you can see a new mod that I've created on NixZ. So we are doing the NixZ Hornet's Nest mod. And you can see what I've done here is I've tapered it in the back. And that just allows it to fit within the original holes, the original design. All I've gone and done is drilled a couple more holes in that faceplate and we are good to go. That's the mod. So to finish this mod, all you're gonna do is go to the files below. You're gonna download the template. You're gonna cut out the bits that allow you to align it nicely on the upper instrument panel. You're gonna sticky tape it down and then you're gonna go drill them, countersink them. You're good to go. You can go install that mount. And then later on, if you don't have it just yet, you can go install the UFC again. None of this, you don't have to have it all at once to install it. I've made it a little bit modular. Second mod we're doing is inspired by Ben from Hornet. As you can see here, there is a seam line joining the DDI bezel onto the upper instrument panel frame. Now, I don't like that. Ben's gone and created this flush fit. I really like that. So what I've gone and done is I've followed that. I've gone and trimmed it out here. We're going to remove this section of gray and I'm going to put that jig file in the files as well. And then what I did was I pretty much put my trim router, like a handheld trim router from Ryobi, up onto a little cheap Azeto trim table. I now have a router table. I've gone and put the jig on. Now I've gone and routed it out using a bottom bearing flush trim bit and it looks great. So it was pretty easy, it was very cheap, or you could just go cut it again if you got a CNC, but who knows. I found this way a bit easier. So we're gonna remove this bit of material and then that's gonna flush fit in, but we're looking all of that next episode. This episode, I wanna show you these two panels, a little bit of wiring, but we need to get this out the way now, purely because otherwise you're gonna start installing stuff and then you're like, I have to remove it all again just to get stuff going. And the last little mod we're doing is this here where the eyebrow panel is. It's on both sides. Open Hornet would like this piece, the faceplate, to be made out of acrylic. I would have made mine out of MDF. Don't know why, maybe I misread it, who knows. But these screws, so if you click this one, and this one, they all connect into little heat inserts into that acrylic. Now, I don't have that, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna widen these holes because they were designed to be heat inserts, not threaded holes. I'm gonna widen them a bit. I'm gonna place those heat inserts in, and then I'm just gonna CA glue them in place, and it's gonna do the job. I don't wanna remake it. Maybe later on I will, but that's a quick little fix. That's the mods done. Let's get into building these because that is kind of why you're here. So let's have a look, and let's have a look at the master panel first. Now it's time for me to tell you about who helps make this channel possible, and that's PCBWay. They've been the channel sponsor since episode 3, and they've been loyal ever since. Now, PCBWay is great for customer service, speed, fast turnarounds, just the consulting that happens, and a new thing they've just shown me. I'm not even gonna bother showing you how to make the circuit boards. 30 episodes of showing you how to make circuit boards, I'm sure you know how to do it. But here, have a look here. It's in the middle tab of the top ribbon on the homepage, PCB design, and it is professional electronic design for your next project. If you don't know how to route wires, you don't know how to create circuit boards, you don't even want to pay for the software, but you just want to give them an idea, they're going to go from creating it to a turnkey product and even help create enclosures. Just look how good this is. You create the project, you upload your files, you tell them what services you're after. It's not a bad job. So thanks PCBWay for your constant support. So back to it. Overall, not a bad build. It was a lot of fun to make. It's cool seeing it come to life. We used the same technique that we used in episode 30, which was creating this yellow, white, and black striping. Now, if those that didn't watch episode 30, essentially the night vision compatible pattern goes from yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, white in the daytime. When it's backlit and it's dark, that white illuminates to become green, and that yellow gets no illumination. It's blacked out, so it goes green, black, green, black, green, black. So it's a cool panel. It's also my first time using white acrylic. Now, I accidentally bought white acrylic. I've always used opal acrylic. I think it's cool. It's got really good light transmission, but it's a bit dull. Now, this white looks more like some of the jets I've seen, where it's bright, it's readable in the day. It is readable at night, but backlighting kind of helps. The reason I kind of steered away from the white was the website I use, Acrylics Online, said it's 0 light transmission or 0%. And was like, oh, well, that's not gonna backlight. No, turns out it does still backlight, and it backlights perfectly. It's exactly how I see it in the jet. And the thing with zero light transmission is there's no power behind it. You're still seeing that illumination. And at the end of this, I'll show you it all backlit. There's no power, like you're not squinting at this backlighting when it's dark. You just want it to, it's just there. And you're like, how's that visible, but there's no power coming into my eyeball? That's why we're not here to create an RGB display. We're here to have backlighting that we're not squinting at. So this actually worked really well. I think Romark would be similar. There's some Trotec style acrylics as well that are good. I love this, it looks awesome. The buttons that you see here for air to ground, air to air, and the ready discharge, they were pretty simple to make. They're no different to the Corey switches, especially this one here, the ready discharge. You've probably never used that in your life before. Essentially, you go and press the fire button on the eyebrow warning indicator. It's gonna arm a squib. A squib is not a non-magical term. It is a little bottle that holds all the fire extinguisher in it, and that valve system arms. You then go and get a light saying it is ready or it's armed, and then you go and press it and discharge illuminates. It then discharges the squib. If you want to de-arm that valve, you repress the fire button. It's as simple as that. Quick little Hornet CVT for you on this Tuesday. So other than that, they were cool. This worked out well. I used resin for the normal stuff like the Corys, but these mounts, there's a mount here for the air to air, and there's a bezel mount thing here for the ready discharge. I made them out of FDM. I found resin was cracking too much. I couldn't tap it properly. FDM kind of just worked. So I used FDM for the mounts. I sanded, made it look nice, way easier. Now they've got a really nice feel to them, right? You can hear that nice click. If you find yours aren't clicking nicely, you've tightened it on the back. If I show you here, there's two little screws here. You've tightened that too much. Now, if the buttons feel loose, they feel wobbly, give those screws a little tighter and you're gonna find that sweet spot that holds it nicely. So that's the issue. If you screw that in and you really jam it in, those buttons aren't gonna have that nice motion. So food for thought, have a think about that. Only issue I kind of found with this button as well, the inner corners of the mount have like a chamfer in them, so it's more of an octagon shape, and this is all square. I just had to sand those sides down, or you can remodel it to make it more square. I think just that beveling is on the wrong piece. Didn't fit nicely, but it was an easy fit, and you get a lot of light leak coming from discharge and ready. Not ideal, because these are two very separate indicators. You're either finding the system is ready, or you're finding the system has discharged. You don't want any of them to illuminate and bleed into the other, because it's gonna be pretty hard to work out which one's actually illuminated. And, but otherwise, these air-to-airs, I'll show you a little thing now of what they kind of look like illuminated. They look wonderful. I think they're the absolute best. And we've got one of these NKK locking switches, the S3AL, I think they're called, with a little open Hornet switch cap on. And I really liked them. They're quite cool. The push to jet button, probably something that you might use if you're finding yourself in an unexpected encounter. You're just gonna dump all your stores, you're gonna panic, you're not gonna assess the situation correctly. Hey, we've all done it. Looks cool. Pappy Planes, there's a YouTube channel from him now. He's got some pretty cool pieces. He's got like OEM pieces from actual Hornets and Sims, and it looks phenomenal. Go check him out. I'll put a link for him as well. He's got a cool channel. I got this from him. Like the design, he helped me kind of work out what this angle on the helix pattern is. I like that his inner button was black, and this entire overall system that Open Hornet wanted gray per their files, I've gone and painted it black. It makes it look a little bit more like Pappy, and I think his stuff looks sick. And yeah, only issue I found with the push to jet is the three legs. You can kind of see them poking through there. They bow when that resin is curing or drying, and you just got to use a heat gun to kind of bend them back into shape if they go out. Now, Open Hornet, let me actually see if I can pull it up here. Let's go back into the Fusion. Here. These little clamps, if you've ever tried pushing them onto resin, you would realize that they don't really work so well. And to then get them off is really hard if you do get them on. So I don't find them really good for this. Look, have a look at mine here. I don't have any clamps in there and it's holding just fine. So that's in its resting position. That's with the switch or push button all the way out. You're not gonna get enough purchase to get that clamp on there. You're gonna have to at least half compress it. Now you're in that realm of connecting contacts. It's not gonna work. But all the files, the masking for the outer here, the masking for the push to jet, I'm gonna get that all in the links for you as well. And then we go and use a healthy amount of SMR SMP connectors to connect it to the ALE board. These I like to use because I can clip them out, clip them back in, and I can rewire stuff without pulling all the wiring out. I like to keep it a little bit modular. Now you'll see it, especially on this, you'll see it on the spin recovery as well as the HUD control. I'm color coordinating these wires because there are two 2-pin connectors here. Now you don't want to mix those up. If you're disconnecting all of this, and here's a little video of me connecting them back up, you don't want to put the wrong stuff on the wrong mate and then it's not going to work and you're going to try, just color coordinate them, a little bit of heat shrink, 2 yellows connect to 2 yellows, the 1 green connects to the 1 green, it all works itself out. That's what I'm doing there. But overall, really nice design. Yeah, it's a cool panel, I like it. Now let's get into the spin panel. Let's get this little guy out of the way. Let's have a look at our spin. Again, we're using episode 30's pattern technique, if we could refer it to that now. For this one was easy to do, it was a lot bigger, not so intricate. The new pattern or the new mask, again, files are going to be in the links below, is for this toggle cover. Now, it's a red toggle cover. The MS number, it's like 22524, whatever it is, right? This toggle cover is actually red. I've gone and used Tamiya etching primer. It's just the stock standard Tamiya spray can primer. It's the only primer I've found that adheres to that plastic. Every other plastic primer I used would just peel off. So go Tamiya, you're the best. I then went and painted it black. I then used my Cricut to cut out a vinyl mask, and that's how we got these nice stripes. Again, files below. I used every single piece of the mask to create the spacing, and then I went, removed that excess, painted it yellow, apply a good clear coat. Now we have a very cool looking caution stripe on that switch cover. Yeah, the only other mods, this is a mod that you'll see. This is Scott's mod. I don't know, maybe other people have done it, is I've gone and changed what this spin enunciator looks like. I've gone and used actual orange acrylic for this. I think it's 2mm acrylic. I've front painted it black. I'm just gonna put it on the laser cutter. It's scored out that mask. I've weeded it out. I've painted it black, pulled the mask off, you're good to go. Then we assemble it all. We first up, I put in the potentiometers and switches in. We then go and place the light mask or the faceplate. And then we can go screw this dog in, which is the toggle, put the knobs on, and then we've got the spin enunciator left. Now, I don't want to glue that in because I want to be able to fix it. I want to be able to maintain this panel. So what I went and did was I went and wrapped a little bit of black electrical tape around the base. I snug pressed that in there. It fits perfectly. I then use a really sharp knife and I go and trim it off. So it looks really great. Really cool panel. Again, using SMR SMP connectors to connect it up into the ALE. Now the next module I want to show you is this one. It's the HUD Control Panel. Guess what? All it does is control the HUD. It's as simple as that. Now we've got probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 of the controls on here you will use. The rest you will not. You're not going to be using balance unless you're seriously hardcore. Very rare are you changing the attitude source selector. If you are, you're like top tier Hornet wizard. But yeah, the big one you're going to be using is your rejection modes to just declutter the HUD. You're going to be using day night. You're going to be using AOA indexer and HUD brightness and baro and radar alt for the altitude source. So cool module. Let's show you a couple of things about it. First one, this is a perfect example why we color coordinate all the SMR SMP connectors. So that would be a nightmare to try declutter. If you have a look, this was my last panel made on the opal acrylic. From here, it doesn't look terrible. It looks cool. It's got a bit of a scratch, but other than that, it looks cool. But if we go and put it up next to this guy, it's a bit of an odd angle, you can see the difference in brightness. AA and black level, when you compare them next to each other, the opal acrylic stops looking cool. The white is going to be my new go-to. I'm going to have to remake all these, but hey, that is for afterwards. We are not delaying the progress of this pit for aesthetics. I'm going to show you all the good stuff and then we're going to get into it. Now, there's nothing really complex about this panel, but I just want to show you how I made these knobs because I found two different methods depending on the size of it. First step is go and 3D print using a resin printer or FDM the knob itself. I'm using Lego's 3.0 plus translucent, but any clear that you like, some really like some ultra clear, it does the job, right? Clear is clear. Now, what you're going to want to do regardless of the method is start off with a light misty coat of white. That is going to color the indexer or the arrow on the knob. Now, too much, you block the backlighting. Too little, it's going to look blotchy. So good luck trying to find that sweet spot. Once that's all nicely dry, give it a day. Don't rush this process. You're going to apply the mask, whether it be the arrow or the straight line mask, which you can find in the Open Hornet files. I'm using the develop package. I'm not sure if they're in the master, but I know develop definitely has them in. You're going to apply the indexer masks here, here, and here. Once that's done, you want to lock that mask in. Now, it doesn't matter if you're going to go with painting the gray first or the black first. What I do recommend you doing is using a micro filler. I'm using Mr. Surface at 1200. It's essentially sprayable putty, and it's going to microfill all the little print lines, all the little imperfections on the knob itself. Now, that also helps block that light in. It gives it a good surface to cling to. Things are looking up. Then, depending on with the larger ones here, I went and painted black first. Then I went and applied the mask, which creates the border, which is a big rectangular mask. And then I painted the gull gray color, the correct FS color, over the top. The smaller ones, after microfilling, I actually went and painted them gray first, let that set, then use Tamiya masking tape to achieve the border. So they were just a bit thin. I found I was getting a better result using Tamiya. Use whatever's best for you, there is no set way. But once it's all done, you're peeling it off, you're getting that dopamine hit, go and apply a clear coat. I'm using Mr. Color Super Gloss 3. It's a nice non-obtrusive gloss that really just locks it in. It's a lacquer base. It's going to be nice and strong. And then you just pop them all on. You use the set screws to attach them to the shaft. And we are good to go. So that's the HUD control. That's some pretty cool stuff. Let me pull up DCS because I'm sure you are dying to see what these look like. I think in a lot of my episodes you see me building it, but you never see me using it because the sim is in that room. The recording is in this room. It's a nightmare. We've got to drill a hole through that wall very soon to start passing cables through. But until then, you don't really see the stuff working. So let's get into DCS. Let me show you how this works. Alrighty, here we are in the jet, ready to go. Let's light up these panels. I think they are gonna look so good. Now, without my hands in the way, let me just click on the jet as if we are playing with a mouse, and you'll just see those enunciators lighting up. And I just wanna show you without any distractions. So the first one I want to show you is the air-to-air mode, and it looks really cool. I really like it. I'm really excited for this. We're going to air to ground. Whilst we're still on this panel, let me show you that bleed that we're looking at again in there. We can see discharge should be the only thing lighting up on the game, but we're getting a bit of that bleed coming into ready. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can see discharge is the most prevalent one, but is that really what we want to be doing? Now, looking across here, we flick the toggle cover up and we see that spin come up and it looks so good. I love it. It absolutely looks awesome. So let me close all this up and let me show you it working, because all fun and games to say the lights work, but let me show you that the switches work as well. So first one is let's take off air to ground, toggle on air to air, toggle air to ground, moving the mast arm. So it's a latchable switch. So you want to go up. Very little delay on the game versus the application here. Push to jet. Who knows what we got on board, but let's do it. Pushing it in and you can see it goes in. Now, DCS shows that as quite a big push versus this is modeled a shorter push. Who knows, still feels all right. We've got your IR cooling, again, a switch you're very rarely using, norm, override, back to off. Turning out your hammocks on with the HMD. And then we're gonna need to look around for that your hammocks to show up because it doesn't show up when you're looking through the HUD. Stops cluttering there. And then how do you replicate this? Like, this is just a toggle. It doesn't have any wires. So what DCS BIOS has done is it's allowed, if this switch is moving, let's move the toggle cover as well. So yes, it doesn't replicate it when we just lift it, but when we move the switch, you'll see in game, it does it all for us. And we have that nice enunciator. It could do maybe with a little bit more yellow in there, not as red, but hey, that's pretty cool. Close that down, turn the jet hammocks off. Things looking cool. I'm really pleased with these. Let me show you the backlighting. One last thing, let's move all the way down here. It's controlled by the instrument panel lighting on your right hip. You can see it starting to illuminate, and you're mainly seeing it here through the switch holes, which is, it is what it is. You can see a little bit of it coming through here. But now, if I duck out of the frame, let me turn all the lights off and you'll have a look. Lights back on, how good. So that is it. These are two incredibly cool panels. You can see a tiny little bit of bleed coming up through there. That's just because the laser cutter cut it ever so slightly, but look. Again, all these things are gonna be future scope problems. They light up really nice. You can even dim that even more. You don't need it to be this prominent like we can see here during daytime conditions. Because even at night, it's not gonna be that bright. It's gonna be zero power. Let's call it zero power. You now know what I mean. It just means it's not attacking you with light. But super cool episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the tips and tricks that I came across so you don't have to make those same mistakes. You might want to incorporate some of this stuff. Let's go across. Let me show you some B-roll of me installing this. And that is about it. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I hope you have a good 2026. Enjoy some flight simming. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.